Good evening, everyone. I'm yours truly, Julia Nicholson, the Pension Ninja, and I will be speaking about pensions and understanding the retirement landscape in Jamaica. Now, first things first, what is a pension plan? A pension plan is basically a long term plan that provides an income when you stop working. So it provides a pension for your retirement years. And when we talk about retirement years, you have early retirement, normal retirement, late retirement. Now, based on what type of pension plan an individual is a part of, retirement years can look different. So, the government pension, they would have an established age for males versus females for the superannuation fund slash group pension slash organization pension. What's in the trust deed and rules would dictate what retirement age is. And for the individual retirement plan slash pension scheme slash approved retirement fund or approved retirement scheme, the trust deed and rules of that particular plan would also dictate the age. Now, categories of pension, which I mentioned earlier, you have the occupational pension, which is a workplace pension. Many corporate entities in Jamaica would have a superannuation funds. These funds typically are worth billions of dollars. The government pension. Now, this pension, it is the provision of this pension falls under the National Insurance Scheme, which we call it NIS, and the individual pension, which is a private pension, also known as approved retirement scheme, pension fund, or individual retirement scheme. Now, if we should dive into the occupational pension, this is really a pension through an individual's employer. Now, with this type of pension, the legislative framework in Jamaica design it in a way where the employer has to give a portion. So the employer's portion is mandatory. So both the employer and the employee would contribute. And of course, working at that organization based on the trust deed and rules, you would be eligible to be a part of the pension based on whatever criteria. So you have to be on staff, we find to be a common nuance. You have to be on staff. You have to pass the probationary period. There are different criterias, right? Yes, so it's for the employed workers offering a structured way to save for your future while you work. And typically in Jamaica, if your organization have a superannuation fund and you've met the criteria, you are mandated to, and the organization or the employer is also mandated to give a portion on your behalf. And of course, the legislation as at April, let's not use April, but as at today's date, the maximum amount for contribution with both employer and employee is 20%. So if the employer is giving 5%, the employee cannot give more than 15% because the overall contribution amount should not be in excess of 20% of one's gross income, right? Now, for the occupational pension, it's typically a superannuation fund, or we call it a group pension plan. According to the Pensions, Superannuation Funds and Retirement Schemes Act of 2004, a superannuation is defined as a fund established for the purpose of providing pensions or other benefits for persons on retirement or on the termination of employment. What does that mean? So somebody working in a company for 20 years and they retire, then they go and get their pension, right? It's I'm saying it pretty easy. There's a bit of a process where they would submit that they're going off, they have to purchase an annuity, but we're not going to dig into that, right? No, there are also other ways that you can access the superannuation funds. So the current legislation in Jamaica, if it is that you are leaving your place of employment. Say you're working there and you're moving on to go somewhere else. You're able to access a portion of the pension, which is the portion that you contributed, which is the employee portion, right? So you can get a cash refund. Also, note whatever is in the trust deed and rules will also affect your decision. So, for example, there are some pension funds that say if you take a cash refund of your contribution as the employee, you're going to forfeit what the employer gives. So it's important for individuals to understand what does the trust deed and rule say. And the trust deed and rule, that's the document that governs how a particular pension fund operates. Yes. Now, you have the government pension, which is another type of pension, and this pension falls under the National Insurance Scheme. Just to note, National Insurance Scheme (NIS) does not only have a provision for pension, but it has provision for other things. You can check the NIS Act, or you can just read on NIS the different benefit, like the widow's benefit, the funeral grant. There are different things that NIS cover. So the National Insurance Scheme is Jamaica's social insurance system, and it includes a basic government pension, which provides retirement support. It is important to note, though, that you have to meet a particular criteria to get NIS. And also the NIS pension, it's not a big pension. And so typically, even if you have or you, based on the amount of years you're working, you see where you meet the criteria to get NIS pension. It is always important to have your own private pension. So if you're working for an organization that don't have a group pension, or you're working for an organization and that organization you're probably on contract, then you have to secure retirement through an approved retirement scheme because the NIS is not enough. Right? Personal pension. So this is the individual retirement scheme, approved retirement scheme, or the pension scheme. These are the names that it goes by. A personal pension is a retirement savings plan that you set up and manage independently. So this gives you some form of control of a financial future, and this is typically ideal for self-employed individuals and individuals in Jamaica who are contract individuals, freelancers. Those people, they're still able to secure a retirement benefit. Now, this very important part where the superannuation fund is concerned. Now, under superannuation fund slash the group pension, this is typically the organizational pension. There are two types, the defined benefit pension and the defined contribution pension. Now, under the defined benefit, this pension plan is typically right now, it's being done away with because of the great benefits that come with it. So if you are part of an organization that has a defined benefit pension, kudos to you. No, so this one, it provides the fixed income, and the employer promises a specific retirement benefit amount. So you're gonna get this benefit. It's typically a factor of your last salary, your years of service. This don't have it, but there's also a factor. So the amount of years you're with that organization, your final salary, and there's a particular factor that is multiplied by all of those things. So as long as you've been working, say you're working for 20 years, they multiply by your final annual income, and you multiply by the factor, and you're going to get that benefit. Now, for the defined contribution plan now, excuse me, this plan depends on growth. So this is performance based. So both you and your employer are putting down the contribution. 20%, say you've maximized it. Your employer is giving 10, that's the maximum amount the employer can give, and you're giving 10, right? Based off of the rules of the plan, of course. This is just a scenario. 20% is being given. Give that 20% for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Based off the performance in the fund, how was the fund performing when the investment managers were, allocating the assets differently? Some in real estate, some bonds, and it's in billions of dollars. How did it perform? The defined contribution is about performance, right? So the defined contribution is about how much you contributed, both you and the employer, and how the investment manager performed with those monies, over the historical time that you would have been in that fund. The defined benefit is you are going to get this benefit even if the fund is not performing, right? So we can see why they have gone away from the defined benefit. Now, one thing to note, as a pension ninja, you don't just pick a pension. You want to understand the full financial plan, right? So, of course, you want to know, what will my future look like? Will I be able to replace my income, right? And so it is so, so important. Your pension is your future income. It's not just extra money. It's what you live on and when you stop working. So it is very, very important for you to focus, to figure out, where am I in life? What do I want to do? Right? So of course, your pension is your future income. And you need to understand, what position am I in? Am I going to contribute to an approved retirement scheme, which is an individual pension? Does my organization have a pension plan? Is the pension plan that my organization having, is it a defined benefit plan or is it a defined contribution plan? Right? And also very important, while you're planning for retirement, you're going to have, based off the fact that you go on NIS, you see what the criteria is, because you've worked over this amount of years, you're going to have NIS. So you have your NIS amount, plus your private pension amount, understand your position, right? And of course, with any investment, it is very important to note that time is your friend. The earlier you start, the better it is for you. So think smart, plan ahead, and move like a pension ninja. You gotta be sharp. You have to master your retirement journey. I am yours truly, Julian Nicholson. And of course, coming up, I'm working on my investors mindset bundle, right? So you can look out for that, my people, my people. Thank you so much for sticking it out and for watching this video and for educating yourself on pension.